One of my favorite quotes about teaching is from Jean Paul, who said that teaching isn't just a profession, it's a passion. And I couldn't agree with that statement more. My name's Greg Leindecker. I'm a social sciences teacher at Henrico High School and Region 1 2019 Teacher of the Year. And today I wanted to share a little bit with you about reviving the professional passion. That passion that we all feel when we first exit college and get to enter the classroom. That passion and that zeal to change the world, to change a student's life, to change the system, to do everything amazing. And those were all my feelings those first couple weeks of taking my first 7th grade class, teaching them American history, and just thinking I'm going to do things different. I'm going to be passionate, and I'm going to make these kids want to learn, to love learning, to love history. And I think that's the dream of every teacher when they first come out of college. And I remember that first year I stayed up and I lesson planned and I tried to get creative and find ways to make students a part of their learning, not just to teach them the facts, but to make them a part of history. And I remember one example in particular where I was supposed to teach the American Revolution and the causes and the battles and all of those things that we learn. But I decided I wanted to teach them the intricacies. I wanted to teach them how they marched, the battle tactics, the strategies, a little bit about the technology, about how their bullets weren't very accurate. So I created a lesson plan where I split the students up into Britain and the colonies, and I taught them how to march. And we created paper balls for our ammunition, and we proceeded to have a big class paper room ball fight. And it was fun, and the kids loved it, and I was excited. Unfortunately, my principal at the time was not quite as excited. She strongly suggested to me that I focus on the standards, that I focus on the state standards to prepare these kids for a test that they had at the end of the year. And I think whether it's administrators' expectations or our colleagues or unruly students or an unruly class, education is littered with things that will try to take away our passion for teaching, our passion for what we set out to do in the first place when we started this amazing profession. But I strongly believe that having that passion is the difference between a good teacher and a great one. We all remember those teachers who reached us. It's probably one of the reasons why we became a teacher in the first place. And if you think back, it's probably because that teacher was passionate about what they were teaching us. They made us love it just like they loved it. Everyone experiences ups and downs in this flow of passion and their own ability to show this passion. There's so many things that can bring us down that we have to try to remember and take steps to keep that passion alive for our kids. So I wanted to share a few things that over the years I've found have helped me keep up that passion in those low moments. And the first one is to make sure that you find a support network for yourself. People who are like-minded like you. It's real easy to walk into a faculty meeting and find the people that are extremely negative about education, and it's equally as easy to find those people who are always up and just excited nonstop about education. What you need to do is find your group, and if one of those groups fits you, that's great. But for me, it was finding a group that had a little bit of both, because I think that's the majority of teachers. This profession can be so isolating at times. We're with kids all day long, but so very rarely do we get to collaborate and talk with our own peers and our colleagues. And finding those support systems is really important. And sometimes you may have to go outside of your department to find those. That was one thing that I had to learn. But finding those people that can share those ups and downs with you, who can celebrate in the little victories and lament with you when you just need to vent or when things just went totally wrong, because they will go wrong, especially if you're trying new and innovative things. It's hugely important. And family and friends are great. They're a necessity in this field, but it's hard for people outside of the education system to really understand how much it means, the victory that's involved when you get that one kid to stay in his station for a little bit longer, or to pay attention, or someone finally opens up and shares in class. The excitement that comes with that. And at the same time, the downs that can come with the opposite happening. So find a group of like-minded teachers and professionals who you can share your ups and downs with that will help keep that passion alive for you. The second one is to don't be afraid to ask for help, while at the same time not being afraid to say no. Asking for help is an integral part, and sometimes as teachers it's very hard to do because we probably didn't in school have to ask for a lot of help. But I have found through so many colleagues and peers great strategies and things that work with certain students that I couldn't just reach. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Okay, and at the same time, don't be afraid to say no. As teachers, we're probably a little bit of overachievers as well, most of us, and we want to take on things. We want to be more involved. But that passion can easily get drained if we overextend ourselves. So if you do take on extra things, make sure they're things that you love and that you already enjoy. Don't be afraid to say no and ask administrators or colleagues when they ask you to be a part of something if there's something better fitting to you that you can help with. The third thing is to remember it's all about student growth. In this day and age of high stakes testing, we get so caught up sometimes on that test score, on academically how students are doing. But remember that these students are people. And as long as you can see growth, that's the most important thing. We want our students to become better people. Do we want them to succeed academically? Of course we do. But if we can teach them how to be better thinkers, how to be better learners, to love learning, and that even if they grow a little bit, whether that means getting someone to sit for 30 extra seconds or to not disrupt others during class, that's a victory. And we have to find those things where we can find them. Don't focus on test results. They are important, but they're not the most important thing to keep your passion alive. The next thing is to make sure that we keep learning. As educators, again, we tend to find a thing that works for us and we get comfortable and it's safe and we know that it's successful. One of the biggest reasons why my passion over the last few years has just been reinvigorated is trying new things, finding new ways to try to reach students, because although we say the same people, our students are always growing. They're always changing. So keep learning, try new things, do new professional developments, try new strategies. The student-centered strategy has been one of the biggest things, one of the most scariest things that I've ever taken on. But in the long run, I have just seen the faces of my kids light up. And although I failed, which as all teachers probably don't like failing, because again, we like being perfectionists, as scary as it was, it's been one of the biggest rewarding things that I've ever tried in education. And the last one, it's all about relationships with our students. If you want to be passionate about being a teacher, form those relationships. It's so much easier to be passionate for our students when we take an actual stock in our students, when we actually get to know them and their likes and their fears and their wishes and their dreams. They're no longer just a student in our class looking at us taking up space. They're a person. And if you form those relationships, that passion is so much easier to get out of not only you, but out of them. Our passion is what changes them. Our passion is what drives us and keeps us in this profession. And although there are ups and downs, find what works for you that keeps that passion alive, just like it did when you left college and first started teaching. I hope that you found something in this that you can use. Best of luck to you, and what you do is amazing. Be passionate and love your kids and love what you do.